Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly, and I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now, to where we started out. Get me out of now, to where we started out. La 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 la, oh, oh. Get me out of broken hearts and starting fights, turning truth to lies. Gotta get up, stop wasting time. Yeah, I wanna run off and fly, and I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now, to where we started.
Hello guys and welcome to our channel. This is WvW. In today's video I want to share with you my WordPress Wallet solo roaming build for the GaleShot. And this build is really good with mobility, kiting, have a lot of survivability. It's even compensate for the weaknesses AreaNet created for the GaleShot, which I hope they buff it a little in the next batch on December 9. And unless the batch really change how GaleShot plays, that I need to make like a new build or something, I will be dropping a link for like the update or talking about the patch in general in the description of this video. But for this build, it already performed very decent. It can deal with damage coming from power builds with the weakness of condition, have a lot of cleanses, and it performed very good in 1v1s. Almost no matter what it is, you can adapt to it, and great in group fights, which what I think GaleShot really shine when you have other people to help you. And like any GaleShot build, it will struggle a little bit in outnumber fights, comparing to some really powerful build, for example, like my Druid build. I will be discussing all that and all the weaknesses and strengths, many things with GaleShot along the way of this video, and also will be comparing some of my choices with other things. Why did I choose that? Why I didn't, in hope to not just give you the build, but like teach you my thoughts about it. And like always, there is timestamps and direct link in the description. Feel free to use that. So let's get right into the build immediately. So I went with skirmishing, wilderness survival, and GaleShot. So skirmishing started to feel like a mandatory trait that I put in all of my builds. Because for a power build, for example, you can get vicious quarry to increase your ferocity, critical chance, and it really can help you a lot with having the critical chance to do your damage, or you will struggle to build up enough or close enough to 100%. So I even tried something like marksmanship, which a lot of people play probably, and the whole build felt a bit weaker. The idea was to get a lot of fury to reset the open strike and get extra damage, like feed it in within your hits. You can have choices like making your cyclone bow pierce, which is like very valuable, or have increased damage. However, in general, it didn't feel as good as skirmishing. If you can put this probably with skirmishing somehow, maybe that's like crazy damage you can put into this build, but we count a lot of survivability coming from wilderness survival. So that's why I'm stuck with Vicious Quarry. And Vicious Quarry gives me swiftness, fury on weapon swap, and more critical chance and critical damage from Hunter's Tactic. Combine that with the trait Vicious Quarry itself, and you will get ferocity, more critical chance from fury, and that just really save you a lot of investing into your own stats through the gear from critical chance, and open the area for more focus on power, ferocity, put some toughness, stuff like that. And I have primary reflexes, which give me vigor once every 8 seconds if I actually dodge an attack. Beside sharpened edges, this little bit of bleed is not really worth it on a bar build, and we don't use trap, but you can actually use trap, and still this trait will like the healing trap actually, but this trait will only give you like a bigger radius and will increase the regeneration duration, so it doesn't really matter this much. So for this version at least, obviously you go with primary reflexes, strider string for more power to you and your bit, and you gain might if you dodge an attack with an internal cooldown of 1 second, so fairly decent. And vicious quarry. For wilderness survival, I will get our basically endurance regeneration faster by 25%. All my dodges give me protection, and protection will heal me and my bit. It will give us both the protection. So a little bit of survivability, and gather that with we take Child of Earth, which means every time we heal, we will drop lesser muddy terrain. It's a survival skill with this one, so now we have double the amount of fury coming from wilderness knowledge, which will make every survivor skill give you fury and cleanse to condition. Again, 2 survivor skills, that means 4 condition cleanse. And this skill is very useful if you are casting it while just walking away or trying to kite, or even like next to someone trying to damage them with your spear or something, because it will drop immobilize immediately and will start casting or pulsing slow and cripple. So it really gives you some decent control over the fight or over the kite. So if you run away, people can get stuck in it, and if you're trying to catch people will still get stuck in it. Besides, it's a condition cleanse and a fury source. And we go with survival tactics for more damage and damage reduction on ourselves. Very good. You can in theory go with empathic bond if you really feel like you need a lot of condition cleanse. So we have cleanse on bit swipe or switch, but I go survival instinct, and I think we have very decent condition cleanse to begin with. Combine that with a lot of mobility you will see in the build, so you can avoid the condition to begin with in many fight, or as much as you can. And lastly, awareness knowledge, which helps the entire condition cleanse and fury securing to this build to hopefully have it permanent. Now with GaleShot, I go with Joy of Movement, Thrill of the Catch, and Cloudburst. So Joy of Movement was ArenaNet's listening or answer to our request of having any form of condition cleanse in this build and how vulnerable it is against condition. So the fact that you will use any new skill like Squall, like this one or this one, will end up cleansing condition. And there is a lot of choices when you get a skill, so you can run more or less depending on what you want, but since I run at least some, I ended up going with Joy of Movement. Before that, I found it to make the most sense is to go with Fear of the Rush. Can you still run Fear of the Rush? Yes, in theory, but you will be more vulnerable to conditions. And in theory, if you can find yourself able to stand in a single position for more than you think, then maybe you can run even the trap for more condition cleanse or as much as possible, and compensating for losing a lot of condition cleanse from here. And like we said, you can also go with Empathic Bond. If you run Feel the Rush, you will get swiftness on any movement, so even a skill like that will give you swiftness. Any skills that give you movement will actually give you swiftness, but will also give you 15% endurance. This entire bar count as 100, so a single dodge require 50, which means a skill like that, lightning reflex, skills like the spear, and we run spear with staff actually, so a lot of things will actually give you endurance again, and swiftness, so you can dodge even much more than you can do with normally without taking it. But like I said, condition is a bigger problem for me, and I have already a lot of mobility and survivability, so I didn't feel like I need this much. Obviously it would be great to have it, but I went with Joy of Movement. In the beta actually I was running this one, since this would only remove movement impairing condition, and now it remove another damaging condition with it, so it makes you even harder to catch. Like this one will give you a lot of dodges, but this one will make any skill from those, like this one or this one, would already free you from being caught to begin with. And let's say for example you want to run this skill instead of Troll Unguent. It have a bit more cooldown, but it gives you super speed. It have less healing, but it now will also cleanse an extra damaging condition and movement impairing condition, so it can give you a lot more survivability against condition, and it will reset one arrow like all Squall skills. So there is a lot of freedom in what you really want to choose or what you want to choose or put in your build-in skills. Even so, most GaleShot actually would look very similar as builds. They move a lot and they start to use multiple skills to damage and kill you fast. So there's similarity in any GaleShot and how GaleShot work, but freedom in what skills or things you want to run. Now, the second thing is Thrill of the Catch, and I consider this is really, like, it's difficult to go for any other choice. Unlike here, this one is just you feel stuck with. So Thrill of the Catch will restore an arrow every time you or your bit disable an enemy. So a skill like this, a CC, will work. Even from your turtle skill, double CC of it will work. Ragazal, dazes and stuff. Any disable, like stun, daze, lunge, stuff like that will work. And your own, like this from this skill, like the Cyclone Bow's skill, will actually reset already one. And you will keep getting one arrow for every CC. It have internal cooldown of quarter second just because they wanted to not count on multiple targets at the same time, but that means you constantly getting arrows. You almost never feel like you don't have arrows or you need to wait. The other choices are not that great. You get quickness from your beast ability, and you increase the power of in general, like the damage and health of feather bits like birds in general, and the new bit, the Swiftwing. But obviously this is very less useful, especially that we're running this, so we have still other sources of quickness, and you can even fit other skills, like you can put Quickening Zephyr, you can put sigils for it like Celerity, so it's really way less value than you think. And this one will give you, the skill will turn into ammunition, double, so it gives you more damage. You can just keep dishing more damage faster, especially that it will reduce the amount of arrows required to hit it. However, you lose the immobilize, which means you lose some control and make yourself even more prone to being hit or caught too with melee classes. It's not just purely better, it's something versus something. So that's why I say Thrill of the Catch is the best choice in this straight line in like 90% of builds you can make with GaleShot. Now lastly I go with Cloudburst because I wanted to play a little bit about the boon and secure the fury and swiftness. It's really good besides the reset factor. So the idea is that this skill can keep getting reset by this or this. So if you hit this, it will reset it. And if you can use it again, and then you can hit this, and it will reset it. So you can get from this trait a lot of arrows. You never really struggle because of your CC. And now you can use those arrows to keep dishing a lot of damage just through the Cyclone Bow, because it's the main weapon for damage for this build. So the idea is I have damage like from the spear and from it, but I want to be able to just like almost kill an enemy straight with just the weapon if possible, in order to have a room to deal with multiple enemies or at least survive them. So those two together work perfectly. You use a lot of skills, and now you have the arrows to use those skills. The other choices are purely more damage, so I guess it's good for many builds, and Shrike, which mean you have to play a build that count a lot on projectile, like if you're running longbow. Other than that, it's not really a good choice to room with, so I went with Cloudburst. The reset, the quickness, it's just beautiful the way it works. Now for the gear, there is a lot of freedom you can have with this build. Like there's just a general idea, you don't have to run specific numbers, but I will give you mine and the idea behind them. So you need to run some Diviner or any sort of boon duration, because this build count a lot on being like a boon build. And obviously, other than that, you run Berserker or anything for power, precision, and ferocity. And you can adjust as much as you want. So for me, the thing I settled on is running a full Diviner armor with the Rune of the Pack to give me power and some boon duration with precision, since I want to get myself to almost 100% critical chance, and I will explain how I did this. The rest of my trinkets is Assassin, like everything Assassin except the amulet is Berserker. So both my accessory, rings, and back are Assassin, with power, ferocity, and precision as major. And if I get fury from any source, you will see I get to almost 90% because I have vicious quarry. And with this trait, if you are flanking, you get extra 10%. So I'm at 100% if I'm flanking. To get to 100% without even this would be a bit difficult, so I found this critical chance amount to be really, really good. Obviously my ferocity and power could use a little bit of a push, but it's decent. I'm already above 200 on spear. Now my spear is a Berserker spear, and I run celerity with strength. So any CC I do on spear, like I'll be inside my Gale bow, also can landing this days, can land this CC, but I'm still actually on spear. So you have two weapons. The weapon is here no matter what it changes by mechanic, like Kit for Engineer, like Cyclone Bow for GaleShot, or Celestial Avatar for Druid. You are still on spear. So I can still get the celerity effect, which means every 20-second cooldown, if I CC the enemy, like the days of skill 5 for example, I get 5 seconds of quickness. But since we run a lot of boon duration, those 5 seconds will be increased by half, landing them in around 7.5 second quickness. And strings will give you one stack of might that lasts for 10 seconds, every internal cooldown of 1 second if you critically hit the enemy. We hit almost all critical, so every hit will start ramping this up, no matter we are on Cyclone Bow or on the spear. So that means we will be getting a lot of might to also increase our damage through other things, like this our bar, but we can keep getting might to make it better and easier. Staff, I run it with, I can't remember what the name of this stat, but it's power, precision, and healing, and power is major. So in staff, mostly I want to kite. I'm not really gonna be switching to staff to burst you down with. Let's be honest. So it's mainly for survivability, and having a little bit of healing on it will increase any healing from any source while running. So why not? And I still have the same precision and the same power, so I lost a little bit of ferocity on it, so that's why I wanted to have some healing on it. And I run cleansing and energy, so the moment I switch to it, I cleanse a lot of condition, I remove, hopefully even immobilize, and I get a dodge to immediately survive the next incoming burst if I'm locked down, and I can start kiting away immediately. And I have explained before why I don't use cleansing and energy on both sets, or use the same sigil probably that proc over weapon switch on both sets. If you run any class that can change this bar, this left bar, with a mechanic, not just this button, like if this button is the only thing you can do to change the look of this bar, then fine, you can do that. But once another thing get in, like GaleShot with having Gale Bow also change it, this count as a weapon swipe. And there is a cooldown for those sigils. So if you, let's say you are on staff right now and you entered Gale Bow, you will remove conditions with the cleansing and get endurance with the energy because you triggered the weapon switch even you still actually on staff. And if you leave this way, you would trigger it if the cooldown didn't happen. But if you need it right now and did that and the cooldown didn't pass, you will not trigger it. So you now access the staff to start chitin mode and the sigil will not work. That's why if you have this mechanic, you can change this bar with any other thing like GaleShot and Druid for Ranger. I do not use it on both weapons yet. It will be very difficult to keep track of the cooldown of the sigils. So run it only on one weapon set, and for me it's for the survival, so I put it on staff. Now my relic, I choose Relic of Earth actually. So with our boon duration, huge amount, it gives me 9 seconds of protection. All those 9 seconds will keep giving me healing because of the trait Rugged Growth. So that's like 2k healing, probably just from using my elite skill. Besides its protection, very long one, if it's not removed or corrupted, it will reduce the damage coming your way and really allow you to trade bunches. So you can even fight longer fight with GaleShot, healing yourself, surviving with the staff, lowering the damage significantly. You have the turtle to give you protection, you have the elite to give you protection, your dodges give you protection, and it will give also 4 seconds of magnetic aura. So the moment you cast this, you are secured, you take less damage, you reflect projectiles, and the sweet part is you can give it even to allies. So when you're fighting in a team, this relic will also give you and your allies an aura and protection. It just works very well, and it can give it to your bit in solo fights or low number around you. So it will look like that, as you can see, and my bit also get it even if it doesn't really show this much. So it's really good choice for survivability, and it can toy with the enemy a lot because of the reflect to begin with. And because of it, we have 3 projectile defenses: the turtle, the staff, and the elite skill now working this way. Now my food choice, since I play with focusing a lot on boon duration, it's a boon build. I go with soul pastry, would give me 100 concentration and give me 70 power, and I go with holographic super cheese, which 2 very cheap foods you can use all the time. So it's really nice, especially this one is like nothing. It's really cheap. Gain power 8% of your concentration as power, and you gain concentration equal to 3% of your precision. Now my skills, like I said, there is a lot of freedom. So I use this one for the most amount of healing. It's a condition cleanse. It have low cooldown of 24 seconds. If you go with this one, you heal for less, but you can cleanse for more, and it will give you another arrow as a squall skill. Especially with the trait, it will cleanse movement and bearing condition, and now you have super speed, so it can help you escape a lot like kite, much better. But we have 18k health, and I want to be able to refill them very fast. No matter how much I get punished with damage, I want to refill them, so I have multiple sources of healing. I can heal from protection. I actually run staff with the build, and now I have a lot of healing through this skill, and it feels much better. But you can actually run it. You can also run trap for much more condition cleanse, because you can in theory get yourself a little bit stationary and secure yourself like that, or with turtle trying to immobilize people and damage them and then move. You can do it as good as Druid, for example. You're very glassy in this build and you have no stability to really secure yourself, but you can still be stationary to an extent. Lightning Reflex, I consider it a mandatory. Like, it's very difficult to remove this skill. It's one of the best stun breaks for a ranger in general. It will free you from movement and bearing condition. It will create distance. It will give you vigor. It will dodge and it will cleanse, and it's only on a 24-second cooldown. So I would never probably change this. But does like the build count on it? No, you can change it, but like I advise against it. Now the elite, I have tried multiple options. Like I tried Entangle, I've tried Strength of the Back. And honestly, Strength of the Back might be convincing as a stability source to this build, but there is a serious problem in it. So a lot of people think stability like the be all end all. You have stability like you're unstoppable. This is wrong. Stability is obviously an amazing boon. It's one of the strongest things you can have with boons. It will counter even the uncounterable. So if you're in a fear ring of Necromancer or a Dragon Maw trap of Dragon Hunter, you can't actually walk out of this. And you have to be at the edge of it and double stun break, like try to get out, get CC, stun break immediately, and before it ball you again, you get out. If you have stability, you can ignore such thing. So it's not just you get stunned, you can stun break, and that's like almost equal to stability. Stability will ignore the CC, will survive what you can't get out of SCC, and if you have multiple stacks with it, it will ignore a lot of CC coming your way. But if for most fights and most general situation, just dodging and getting out, creating distance, stealthing and juking people, blocking their attacks, all that can really work well into ignoring the CC that comes or surviving it very well. So that means stability, even so it's insanely valuable, you can really work around not having it. The other side, what if you have it? If you do, it will not save you. Like a glassy build like this, GaleShot, I have stability, let's say like that. It doesn't have really some damage reduction unless you can put protection, so maybe it will work. So unless you combine it with something else to work, it will not save you. So if I use this skill, I'm not just immune and I can trade bunches with someone, or I can just run and survive whatever enemies do. They can corrupt it, they can still damage you, they can still put condition on you, immobilize you, and stability will not help you. So stability works very well when you can combine it with a method or a way that the enemy can't really do much about. You become more powerful. So if you trade bunches with enemy, you're both hitting each other, you will take less damage, you will do more damage, you will more in control, or even can CC the enemy to stop them. It like flips the whole thing. Something like that is Soul Beast Dolly Extends. So take Dolly Extends for example, it will stun break, like you don't have to waste it most of the time, you can use it when you get stuns, or you can secure your damage with it, or secure your kiting with it. So you get stability, you cannot be caught with movement impairing condition, you reduce the incoming damage and condition damage with irremovable effect, like stability can be corrupted but the other effect can't. So if you're hitting the enemy and the enemy hit you, you take less damage, you cannot be hold down with control like immobilized or something, you cannot be CC'd, and you can do your damage. If you're trying to kite the same way, your enemy can't hold you down with immobilize or slow you with chill or something like that, cannot CC you, and even the damage become less. So as when you combine stability with other methods like that, it functions very well. That's why I almost never run Strength of the Back or almost any build, because there is always something more valuable. It only gives you stability, it will not secure you with anything. It gives you stability, swiftness and fury, and even the might will happen when your bit land attacks. So most of the time you will be the one who giving the might to the bit, and barely the bit can help. Like depending on smoke skill, maybe can give you something like turtle would be very difficult. So that's why, like I said, I don't really like this skill to begin with and how it functions, especially for a solo roamer that will have to fight in outnumber a lot of the time. Maybe in 1v1s, only having stability would be enough, since the damage coming your way can be controlled and you can really adapt to the fight even better ways. So with something like Entangle, holding people down, people really survive Entangle quite easily if you can't really like put other things with it, like CC and a second mob, and if you don't follow the control, or even dodge it to begin with. So it felt a little less valuable than you think. Even so, it's very well to run or use it in block, since people can dodge while blocking, and it's a condition cleanse, so it's decent, but this one is too strong to compare with other. You can cast it while moving, you can cast it even behind you. Like you can cast it any direction, like you see like that, like it doesn't matter. And it's unblockable too, so you can really knock people even while they are trying to block you. It do some serious damage to cleave against enemies. It will help against with groups, and that group CC is just beautiful, and it will give you 2 arrows restored instead of other skills that give you 1, since it's elite. So it just overall work very well, and since you run this trait, it's also a condition cleanse, so it's just too powerful to compare it with any other choice that we had. But I wanted you to know why this comparison. For the rest of the skills, I run Signet of Stone, since like I said, this build is a bit classy, and without stability, without so many ways to just deal with damage. Like you have protection and projectile defense, but if you get caught with many people, or if you don't have anything to shield yourself with, or with melee attacks or something, securing yourself from damage can be great, and can help you even to trade bunches with other enemies and stop it. You don't have to run it. You can run this for more quickness. You can run Protect Me, which is like a smaller version, but a stun break can also soak in some of the condition damage, give you protection that will start also healing you and with defending you for a longer period of time comparing to Signet of Stone. You can even go with a damaging choice, something like Piercing Gale or the Spirit, to really lock people down and burst as fast as possible. So it's really a choice up to you. You can even go with another stun break like Whirlwind, which again it have fixed into significantly comparing to how it was in the beta, since they increased the speed where the effect happen. The effect there is like an aftercast, or it move you only upward, not like downward too. It's became a bit difficult to counter it by your enemy, so it still work as really good survival skill now, and it will give you also super speed with the cleanse and free you from movement impairing condition, like move you immediately from danger. But I still feel as the fact that you cast a stun break and still move and still have this slowness to it is not really as good to use this much in a way comparing to other choices. And lastly, I use Wind Shear. Or Wind Shear. It's really good skill, and Arenit have made it to give you also ages now. So it's like my Glyph of Equality, but for GaleShot comparing to Druid. The difference is it has this cast time that will stab you a bit, and you see a long animation before the actual effect lands. So to stop the next coming hits, to get the cleansing from it. Sadly, even so it doesn't show a cast time, this animation make it quite slow, and I really hate this part. I hope Ariana just change it. And I still think it should give you an effect around you so people know when you are reflecting. This is obviously not really working against us as much, it's just for other people. And for us to know how long is the duration, you start just guessing it at this point. So it will start reflecting for about a second, and it will give you one stack of ages, so even if you're being hit with melee hits, it will save you at least one hitting damage, and it's a stun break. So it's really good overall, and you can use it even against revives to knock back people who are trying to revive and secure yourself from the incoming hit, and even work very well in general. However, if you're, for example, already casting an animation, you cannot cast it. As you can see, it have a cast time, even so it's a stun break. So this I guess this is not really the greatest thing, but the skill itself is quite strong that you can run. So as you see, there is a lot of freedom in what skills you want to run. Now for my bits, I run Turtle, and I think it's almost mandatory to have this class survive in a way, like the protection, the projectile barrier, and some CC can even be used when you really micromanagement, keep balling toward you in order to position it on the enemy. It's quite well. The other bit, however, is by choice. I ran for most of the time the Aether Hunter because the group CC that just get up and launch everyone that can go through projectile defenses or reflects and work on anyone from 1200 radius on a 20-second cooldown was just good, and its damage and survivability as a bit is decent with the ability to put some condition and all. However, it's not like the only thing you have to run. This CC was probably the best or the biggest reason I ran it. Like I said, people can't really stop it. You have stability or something like that, fine. But there is no projectile defense will stop it or anything like that, or being easily seen even, since it moves like underground. So it's one of the easiest CC to land, probably. However, I still really like the option of Iboga. The fact that it can ball the enemy, even though it's a projectile, it gives you like double the control. It will be only one target, sadly, but it will ball someone and then immobilize them. So they lose control over their characters, they get balled and then get immobilized. They can't move immediately after the CC. And since Iboga will be chasing them on some, you can control their position to be away from you, since you count mostly on range and get only inside the fight, like melee, when you need to. That's why Iboga is a really good option. The sad part, it's only one target and it's a projectile, and Iboga is easier to kill, obviously. Now there's also other options would work, like if you want to go with Raggazal for double CC in general, if you want to go with Smoke Scale for the normal stealth method that people like to play, or even for the Jaguar for immediate access to stealth, like no questions asked. Can also be very good stealth immediately like that. However, it's too weak and it have no value, and I find the CC to be much more will help you a lot more in order to win, comparing to simply just keep adding more and more survivability. The same thing goes for Smoke Skill. I know how strong Smoke Skill can be, but I never really enjoy playing it myself. I feel this idea of running this and then stealthing and stuff, it's like I'm playing alone while the enemy is standing here. Aren't we gonna fight again? It's like I really don't enjoy this. I never enjoyed thief methods of stealth like that. Just like I feel I keep doing things alone here while the enemy is waiting for me. So I know this is funny, but I don't really enjoy smoke scale because of that, and it doesn't have CC anymore, so it's annoying. Besides, there is so many weaknesses to smoke scales that people really overlook. So the fact that you have to switch to it, cast this, and then cast your own skill in it while you're trying to already run from enemy and it's behind you, and you have to turn into the enemy and then use stealth, is really, really compromising, especially in outnumbered fight. You have to really think when you need it, and the position when you're gonna use it for like high gameplay. And that's why I fight a lot of rangers sometimes. I can stop them from stealthing to begin with. I can really counter it. I can CC their bait to the whole thing doesn't start. So there's a lot of weaknesses to smoke scales I don't really enjoy, and I found it compromising. And for a class that doesn't have stability, that's really quite glassy, and if you get caught with condition on this build, it just could be the end. Like you get caught with immobilize and boom, immediately a whole bomb of like 7 to 10 conditions on you, like you can't get out. Unless you have some serious ways to already get out, like if you had lightning reflex, you're probably not gonna do anything. So even casting this stealth, the fact that it can take time and some people can just board on you immediately or CC you immediately, it's already dangerous enough. There is no stealth in Ranger kit as good or well executed as Celestial Shadows on Celestial Avatar. Maybe Jaguar come close to that, since it's just like almost instant. Like you can switch that and immediately stealth. But Celestial Shadows is just the best. Besides, stealthing alone doesn't work as much defense as you think, because people can still hit in your general area. So the right way to use it is to combine it with other methods to survive, like immediately able to move out. You can people into making them think you moved into a direction and move into another. And Druid combines that, for example, with CC, with Immobilize, so it can lock people or control their position while being able to stealth. Does this build able to do things like that? Yes, it have a lot of mobility and stuff, but comparing to the struggle you go with in order to stealth in smoke scale, it's like you already have to have some safety before actually accessing the stealth on smoke scale, and it's a downside to playing it. And in general, comparing to having a bit that actually can give me CC, I didn't run it, nor I ran Jaguar. I run either Ether Hunter or Iboga, but feel free to run whatever you want and play it however you are used to, if you are used to smoke scale or something like that. Now, I want to talk about the downside and the upside and downside of this build. So this build offers you some freedom in how you can manage your skills. It actually giving you some decent condition cleanse, decent survivability against power with movement, protection, and some okay CC. However, GaleShot have its problems anyway. We already explained, and get back to the timestamp if you missed it, the problem with stability and how it functions. To the fact that if you just put stability in this build, it will still be crippled by how it doesn't use stability as it should. You need stability to have damage reduction, to have ways to stop damage, to have it to be a way to oppress or make sure you survive the enemy on the offense side and on the defensive side. So something like Relic Stance for Ranger works as well, something like Force Fortification on Untamed works as well, something like Balanced Stance on Warrior works as well. If you just put stability, like running something like things, it doesn't really work this way. It's stability, so it will secure you from CC, but will not secure you from anything else. So you have to still use your normal behavior, your normal kiting to survive. All you have to isolate the enemy from you or not really trade bunches with it, because it will not reduce the damage. You will keep taking the damage without getting CC this time. So what's the point of stability if you still need to dodge what's coming toward you? You're gonna survive the CC as you're gonna survive the damage anyway. So even so, how great it is, it will not really work as you expected. Now, Alienate made GaleShot lack a lot on defenses. The traits, they given us a way to increase our dodges, a way to get any meaningful condition cleanse into this build, so I guess that's nice, but it still is not enough. With the amount of tools that offer to Untamed, Soul Beast or Druid, GaleShot only advantage is the fact that it can run dedicated tools for kiting. Like if you play Soul Beast and run Spear and Staff, now you only have Spears that seriously work for your damage. Staff is not nearly reliable, but you can do that on GaleShot and still have the Cyclone Bow, which already have enough damage to kill someone. So this idea of the ability to run dedicated weapon or more even of a source, like if you don't run Staff and want both weapons to be reliable, you can run Spear and run Sword Warhorn or Greatsword or Hammer or whatever. So both weapons can move you, both weapons can burst the enemy down, and you can do the same thing for GaleShot and still have the Cyclone Bow. But Cyclone Bow is just another mechanic. For Soul Beast, you have the merging, which means you have access to more skills, to kite, like with the owl and wolves, or to burst someone, like with smoke scale. It really depends on your choices. For Druid, you still have Celestial Avatar. For Untamed, you have the Unleash Ambush skill, which really give you an insane flow. If you hit someone with a spear, knocking them down with your mob like that, and then jump with damage, you can still cleave them with that, you can still hit the ambush. So you have some really follow-up after another, even on a single weapon, and that work for all the weapons on Untamed. Even if you want to play a bow, the longbow on Untamed is crazy with the Unleash Ambush. So it's not like it has 3 weapons and everyone else have 2 and they have nothing. No, they have a lot of other tools too. This probably would be fair comparison if you made it against Core Ranger, not any other elite. So the fact that they have their own advantages and tools and still have survivability with something like Soul Beast, for example, having what I call an immunity phase, or near that. If you blow Doliac stance and Bear stance at the same time, no one can catch you, you have stability, you can trade bunches of people, you lower the power damage coming to you and condition, and you keep cleansing all the new common condition with Bear stance. And get yourself health up, and you can burst someone in it, or simply if you're trying to survive, just blow them up and kite away with whatever tool you have, orbit, and that's it. That beside having some significant bursts with one wolf back and stuff. If you're running Untamed, it's probably the most balanced method between damage and survivability, with force fortification, reducing the damage coming your way and giving you total control, becoming really difficult to hold down with super speed, stability, damage reduction, the condition damage reduction with resolution, having projectile defenses, abilities to deal with boons, and still have the Unleash Ambush skills for even more follow-up, no matter what weapon you use. Even staff become dangerous with Untamed, basically just by having an Unleash skill for the weapon. And it's also survivability, like it give you blind and healing and can cleave everything around you. So they have the damage, they have the tools, and they have the survivability. So why people think GaleShot is very dangerous? In my opinion, it's not weak. It's still really good. It still have some good damage and can kill people from range and have good sustain to it. Like it can hit again and again and again. If you run something like Soul Beast, you can kill someone in couple of hits with Sikkim longbow and the normal build you always know. But if you already unload this burst, you don't have much follow-up. You have to go to another weapon, kite, like the fight really gets dumbed down or really slowed down and then can scale up again. GaleShot, however, have consistency, and that's something strong. However, it's a projectile-based consistency, no matter what weapon you really run, so you can defend against it, you can defend against GaleShot. And another, well, I guess misconception is GaleShot, especially before the last nerf, was really strong in PvP. These strings do not translate the same way into World vs. World. So the consistency of this damage, I don't care so much about moving, since it's just between few nodes. You don't really get outnumbered like in solo roaming. Remember, we're talking in solo roaming, which means you can even run longbow with a cyclone bow easily and have the third weapon also for damage with a little bit of kiting like the spear, and you still can't really get caught and have to create some insane distance between you and the enemy. No, you have some decent survivability. You can catch up with your allies and it works just well. Besides, it helped that the condition was not as much, even so I think condition started rising again right now in PvP. So this amount of strings in PvP did not translate well into World vs. World, with people having a lot of stats, better duration, condition builds can play tanky, you have access to Trailblazer, Celestial Gear, all this thing doesn't exist into competitive PvP, which means your damage even was way more valuable than in World vs. World, when people can be very tanky, was having access even to a lot of boon duration and sustained protection, stuff like that, with very limited ways to put in your build even to deal with the boons. So your damage felt a bit less, your survivability had to increase or you will die, you can fight multiple people at a time, and your condition cleanse is not always enough depending on how the fight runs. So it became quite good in PvP, but not that good into World vs. World. And even the amount of mobility and survivability you can put into a build like that, the same way I'm run Staff and Spear for example, can be translated into other builds with different methods. Like running Soul Beast, you can simply run something like Owl or any Wolf or whatever, but let's check Owl for example, and just have that for kiting. And guess what? That's like Staff, but without healing. Guess what? You still have the healing and condition cleanse even. And that's it. and you don't have to have both weapons for it. Even something like running smoke scale for stealth, it's way more convenient to run it on soul beast than any other ranger. Why? Because it doesn't have to be immobilized or dead behind you the moment you need it. Even so, it will require some setup. You just call it to you, do whatever survivability or evade, give yourself a breathing room and try to get exactly the point you want to use it. Just unmerge, it will be right next to you and you can apply this. So even if it's dead, even if it is far, even if it's immobilized, you can access it better. Something like Untamed has the most balance when it comes to survivability, I would say. You have a lot of defenses to begin with for your bit. You have ways to deal with boons, like we explained with the Unleash Ambush. You have other survivabilities from here, but the kiting becomes a problem. And then you can compensate with things like having the only board on Ranger to begin with. So GaleShot is good. It's not just as advantageous as people think it is. And it can be countered on most of its build with projectile defense. And if you run both really efficient melee weapons, you will overcome this and you can kill someone who is counting a lot on projectile defenses, no problem. Especially like Glacier builds, not really tanky builds, whether it's power and condition, like Power Vindicator is very tanky, for example. So does Condition Herald or the new Conduit thing. This is a tanky class, like it doesn't matter what is play. So tanking against GaleShot can really bit work, but you can have enough damage to really go into Glacier builds easier than that. And the last problem I want to discuss is amount of control is quite limited, so you count a lot on the damage. If the damage is not really very high to follow up a hit after another, enemies can become free and they can dodge and block and line of sight you easily. The only immobilize you have into this build is this staff if you can land it, and skill 4. And the CC that come with it is quite limited, like this staff doesn't have anything, another days here, maybe this one. So to set up the enemy for an immediate burst, that's why also I needed a bit to do it, like the Ether Hunter, and that's also another reason why I don't run stealth bit like Smoke Scale or the Jaguar. So that's it for the video. Ask anything you want in the comments, tell me your own thoughts, share them with the others, like, subscribe, and don't forget to share with your friends if they would like to see that. And there's always coming new videos, so subscribe so you don't miss them. I'll be seeing you next time. Peace.